The baby is already screaming. The sound cuts through the dark like something torn open. The cowboy is awake before he knows why. He reaches for the rifle by his bed and steps onto the porch barefoot, heart steady, face empty. The iron gate at the end of the dirt path stands half open. A bundle lies against it, shaking with noise. He sees red cloth first. Then a small hand. He kneels without speaking. The baby's face is wet and furious, mouth wide, fists tight. Down the road, a truck's taillights fade into the black. He knows that truck. He knows the shape of it, the slow roll of it. Sheriff Boone does not drive fast when he wants to be seen. "Don't you leave that here," he shouts into the dark. The truck does not stop. The sound of the engine shrinks and disappears. The baby keeps screaming. He sets the rifle down in the dirt and lifts the bundle. The cloth is stained and damp. The child is warm. Small fingers grab his shirt and hold on like he is the last thing in the world. He stands there a moment, staring at the road. "You think this is funny?" he mutters to no one. The iron gate swings wider behind him with a long metal groan, slow and heavy, like a mouth opening to swallow what has been given. He looks at it, then at the child. Years ago, another cry filled this yard. His wife's voice. Then the midwife's silence. The town said it was God. Some said it was him. Bad luck. Bad blood. Cursed land. He had buried his wife on the hill himself because no one else would touch her. He feels that night crawling back into his chest now. The baby's cry turns raw, desperate. "All right," he says quietly. "All right." He carries her toward the house. The porch boards creak under his weight. The lantern inside throws weak yellow light across the walls. He shuts the door with his foot and lays the rifle on the table. The baby does not stop. He unwraps the cloth enough to see her face clearly. She is small, too small, with dark hair stuck to her head. "Who did this to you?" he asks. She screams louder. He checks her for cuts, for blood that is not hers. Nothing. Just fear. He moves awkwardly, like a man handling something sacred and dangerous at the same time. He finds an old blanket in a trunk. It still smells faintly of lavender. He hesitates, then wraps the baby in it. "You ain't staying long," he tells himself. "Sheriff'll come back. He'll say it was a mistake." The baby grips his thumb with surprising strength. He looks down at her and feels something shift in his chest that he thought was dead. "You don't know me," he says softly. "I ain't what they say." The baby's scream breaks into small, sharp cries. He sits in the wooden chair by the stove and rocks without meaning to. Back and forth. Slow. The house feels smaller with the noise in it. Warmer. The iron gate outside bangs once in the wind, then settles. "You hear that?" he whispers. "That's just metal. Not a curse." He keeps rocking. The baby's cries begin to thin out, turning into weak hiccups. He presses her closer to his chest. "I didn't ask for you," he says. "But you're here." The room grows quiet except for her uneven breathing. Minutes pass. The baby goes still, eyes half closed, tiny hands still tangled in his shirt. He lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding. The silence feels heavy but not cruel. He studies her face in the lantern light. "You're safe for now," he murmurs. Just as her body finally relaxes in his arms, a hard knock slams against the front door. He freezes. The knock comes again, louder, steady, like someone who plans to keep knocking until the wood breaks. "You ain't alone," he whispers, the words still heavy in the quiet room. The baby stirs in his arms, small fists pressing against his chest. Then the knock comes again, harder, sharper, demanding. He sets her down gently on the rug, wraps her in the blanket like armor, and moves toward the door. Lantern light swings across the walls as he pulls it open. Sheriff Boone stands there with 2 deputies flanking him. His boots crunch on the porch boards. "Looks like your problem," Boone says, voice flat, cold. The cowboy's hand hovers near his holster. You left her, he says instead, blunt. Boone smiles without humor. Careful. Tension coils between them like a rattler in the grass. Boone's family owns half the valley. Their land fights are whispered through every town meeting, every tavern corner. Old grudges like rotted roots beneath the surface. The cowboy lifts the blanket slightly to show the baby's small, frightened face. She cries when you step close. Boone's eyes flick to the child. That don't mean anything, he says. It means enough, the cowboy snaps back. The sheriff shifts, hand brushing the badge at his chest. The metal catches the lantern light cold, sharp. A warning. You raise that child, you raise questions, Boone mutters. The words feel like a threat. The baby reaches a tiny hand toward the cowboy's finger and grips it with surprising strength. Boone steps back, eyes narrowing. Her mother won't stay gone, he adds, and turns away, boots clattering against the steps. The cowboy closes the door slowly behind him. He kneels beside the baby, holding her close, whispering again, "You ain't alone." Her small hand curls around his thumb. Her eyes, wide and dark, search his face. Outside, the wind rattles the shutters. The shadows of the porch rails swing over the floorboards like silent witnesses. He rocks her slowly. Boone's truck fades into the distance, headlights disappearing into the night. The baby's breathing evens, hiccups fading into small whimpers. She relaxes in his arms, still trembling from fear, still gripping his shirt. He whispers her name softly, testing how it sounds on his tongue, not expecting an answer. Nothing. Just her faint breathing, the creaking house, and the distant murmur of the wind through the iron gate. He runs a hand through his own hair, staring down at her, thinking of the nights long ago when another small body depended on him, when grief sat heavy in the corners of this same house. That weight rises now, but tempered by something unfamiliar, responsibility, choice, maybe even a faint thread of hope. He rocks her again, slower now, counting in his mind. 1, 2. She lets out a tiny, puzzled sound, like a question. He tightens the blanket around her shoulders and hums low, unsure if it is lullaby or warning. Every floorboard under his boots feels alive, every shadow in the corners watching. He carries her to the rocking chair by the stove, swaying in the lamplight. She curls against him, quiet for the first time. Outside, the iron gate sways once in the wind. The knock at the door has stopped, but the echo lingers. The cowboy leans back, chest rising and falling, thinking Boone is out there somewhere, thinking about what he would say next, what threats he might throw. And then, in the hush, the baby reaches for him again, small hand brushing his cheek. "You ain't alone," he whispers once more, and for the first time, the words feel true, even if the danger has not passed. The house is dark now, quiet, holding them like a secret. He rocks her in the chair, listening to her breath and the faint whistle of the wind through the cracks. Boone might come back. Someone else might arrive. But for this night, they are together. Safe enough. Close enough. The blanket is tight. The chair creaks. And the cowboy murmurs her name over and over, a promise he can barely understand himself, waiting for the next knock, the next test of will, knowing that outside, the world is waiting, but inside, for now, she is his. "You ain't alone," he murmurs again, rocking her slowly in the wooden chair by the stove. The baby clings to his shirt, tiny fists kneading the fabric. He pours goat milk into the bottle, shakes it, smells it, and almost spills it. One hand holds the baby, the other shakes with nerves he hasn't felt in years. He tips the bottle to her lips, and she bites too hard. He winces. "Careful," he mutters. She squeals, tiny and furious, then quiets, gripping his shirt like a lifeline. Smoke from the stove curls into the low ceiling, carrying the scent of burned milk. He sets the bottle aside, wipes her mouth with a scrap of cloth, and mutters, "You'll learn." "I'll learn." Footsteps approach quietly. Miss Eleanor, the widow from town, steps inside, carrying folded cloths. "You don't know what you're doing," she says, eyes scanning the small kitchen. "I know she's staying," he says. "You sure?" "Yes." She sighs, but doesn't argue further, placing the cloths on the table. Rumors have already begun their slow crawl through town: cursed ranch, ghost child, sheriff's secret. Eleanor knows, but she keeps her voice low, letting the silence speak. The baby starts crying again. He carries her toward the back door. Outside, the night is dense. He leads her to the old well behind the house. The air is colder there. She stops crying, staring down into the dark water, small hands gripping his shoulders. He leans on the wooden edge, listening to the faint echo of distant things moving underground, and the hollow whisper of water hitting stone. "What is it?" Eleanor asks softly, following him. She knows something, he says. Nothing speaks plain, he admits. That night, as he lies on the floor beside the cradle, he hears faint humming. It drifts from the direction of the well, a woman's lullaby carried by the wind. He holds his breath, thinking of his wife, of the nights long past when another small body depended on him. He doesn't tell Eleanor, not yet. The sound is too fragile, too sharp, too dangerous. Morning comes, and the baby refuses food until he carries her to the well. She laughs softly, small and bright, and he feels an ache in his chest. Eleanor notices the fear in his eyes when he looks back at the house. "What do you hear out there?" she asks. "Nothing that speaks plain," he says. He rocks her in his arms. Her tiny fingers curl around his thumb. The world outside is quiet. The ranch feels heavy with memory and wind. He sets her down briefly to straighten the blanket. She crawls toward the well again, small and deliberate. He watches her, heart tight. He hums low, unsure if it is a warning or a lullaby, and she hums back, faint, but sure. Shadows bend across the ground like dark water. Eleanor steps closer. "You can't keep her here," she whispers. "I can," he replies. The words are short, sharp. Outside, the wind carries the scent of distant fires from the next valley. The baby sits by the well, small back pressed to the stone, staring into the darkness. The echo of the well seems to answer, or maybe just the earth itself. He stands behind her, silent. Eleanor watches him, knowing that whatever is happening, it is bigger than either of them. The baby hums again. Low, steady. He hums along quietly, feeling the sound thrumming through the wooden floorboards, through the walls. Night comes. The house is dark. Only the lantern throws weak yellow light across the floors. He carries her to bed, but she struggles to get up again, crawling toward the well, small fists digging into the dirt around its edge. He picks her up, holding her high. "Stay," he says. She squirms but doesn't cry. He feels the weight of her small body against his chest. He hears the wind through the cracks of the walls and thinks of all the things that have gone unspoken here. She is safe. She is dangerous. She is alive. Eleanor leans on the doorframe, watching. "What do you hear?" she asks again. He shakes his head. "Nothing that speaks plain." The baby hums low, then stops, watching him with dark eyes wide and bright. He grips her tiny hand. The night stretches. The well waits. And he thinks, maybe, that for the first time, someone else is here who cannot be taken away, who cannot be ignored. The baby smiles faintly, small and knowing. He feels the old ache ease just slightly. The air smells of damp earth, old wood, and goat milk. The wind moves through the trees, carrying shadows across the yard. The baby hums one last note before sleep pulls her under. He rocks her, humming along, listening to the echo of her faint voice, and thinks of his wife, of the nights long gone, of all the broken promises, and all the things he never knew he could protect. He lays her on the blanket by the stove, watching her chest rise and fall. Eleanor nods quietly, stepping outside. He doesn't speak. The well waits. Shadows bend around the yard. The baby smiles in her sleep, small and full of secrets. He whispers again, barely audible, "You ain't alone." The night stretches beyond the walls, dark and quiet, carrying the weight of memory, fear, and promise. The house holds them, fragile, like it has held generations before. The wind rattles the shutters. Somewhere, far off, the sheriff stirs. But here, now, she is safe. For the moment, that is enough. The well waits. And the baby hums softly again in the dark. Boone storms onto the property like he owns the night, boots crunching over gravel and dry grass. "That woman's unstable," he calls, voice sharp, aim to cut. The cowboy shifts, baby pressed to his chest, eyes hard. "She looks tired," he replies flatly, shoulders squared. Boone steps closer, fists clenched. "She drowned her husband. He beat her. She sees things." "So do you," the cowboy fires back, voice low and steady. The air feels heavy, thick with smoke and tension. The mother stands beside the well, pale but unyielding, eyes locked on Boone. "She's mine," she says. Boone laughs without humor. "You forfeited that right," he snaps, teeth gritted. The barn behind them, old and dry, catches a sudden spark from the lantern someone dropped. Flames lick the wood, crackling, thick black smoke curling into the night. The baby screams violently as Boone lunges, trying to grab her from the cowboy's arms. The mother slaps him, sharp and real, and the deputies freeze, unsure which side to defend. Power shifts in the small yard. Fear is no longer one-sided. Boone mutters under his breath, voice tight with fury. "You think she came back for love? She came back for blood." The flames cast strange shadows across faces, turning determination into terror, courage into recklessness. The cowboy steps back, holding the baby closer, eyes tracking Boone's every movement. Smoke stings the eyes, filling the nose, burning the lungs. The baby reaches for the mother instinctively, tiny fingers grasping at the air. "You won't touch her," the cowboy growls. "She's mine," Boone hisses, voice rising over the roar of the fire. The mother steps closer, unwavering, chin lifted. "Not tonight." The barn creaks, threatening to collapse under its own fire. Sparks fly into the dry grass, and the wind carries them across the yard. Boone's deputies glance at each other, tension thick in their posture. Nobody moves. The cowboy shifts, turning the baby slightly so she is protected behind his shoulder. "Go ahead," he says quietly, "see what happens." Boone steps closer again, face twisted with anger, but hesitation creeps in. The baby's small voice, screaming and sobbing, fills the night, a chaotic chorus against the roar of the flames. The mother sways slightly, eyes on the child. "Stay with me," she whispers, small, commanding, precise. The cowboy hums low, steadying himself, moving like a wall between her and the sheriff. The barn flames cast orange light across the yard, shadows dancing over the dry dirt and the iron gate, tossing every figure into grotesque shapes. Boone mutters again, low and dangerous. "You think this ends with her? It ends with all of you." The cowboy doesn't flinch, holding the baby firm, chin tight, eyes scanning every shadow. The mother hums a soft, steady lullaby. The baby's cries soften, just enough to hear, to understand, to react. Boone's jaw tightens. He steps back, hand twitching near the revolver at his hip. The deputies shift weight, still frozen, uncertain. Flames rise higher. Smoke blinds, thick and suffocating. The barn groans. Sparks float into the air, carried by the wind, landing dangerously close to dry grass. The cowboy moves slightly, shifting the baby, rocking gently, voice low and calm. The mother watches Boone, unwavering. Her voice rises, cutting through the roar. "You're finished here. Leave her." Boone's hand twitches, the badge catching the firelight, cold and metallic, a symbol of fading power. He curses under his breath, steps back slowly. The flames behind them cast long shadows, making the night feel alive, aware, watching. The baby's small hand grasps the mother's finger briefly, then curls back into the cowboy's chest. Sparks float across the yard. Smoke rolls like gray water over the fence. Boone mutters once more, voice low, carrying anger and warning. "You think she came back for love? She came back for blood." The cowboy keeps his stance firm, unwavering, eyes locked on Boone. The mother's lips pressed tight, eyes glinting in the firelight. The baby hums low again, a sound threading between fear, defiance, and something like hope. The barn continues to burn, the smell of smoke thick in the air, coating everything. Silence falls over the yard, heavy and charged. The sheriff steps back, curses muttered, calculating, uncertain. The cowboy tightens his hold, rocking the baby gently, voice low, calm. The mother hums again, softly, threading her voice into the hum of the child. Fire lights their faces like a slow reveal, showing resolve, fear, and courage. The deputies glance at each other, then slowly, one by one, take a step back, leaving Boone in the center of a shifting battlefield. Smoke curls into the night sky, carrying the last words Boone mutters over the crackle of the flames. "You think she came back for love? She came back for blood." The cowboy's grip does not loosen. The mother stands steady, baby humming softly in his arms. The barn burns, firelight reflecting off sweat, eyes, and the dry dirt beneath them. The yard is alive with tension, the baby, the mother, the cowboy, and the fire holding Boone at bay. The sheriff's authority feels thinner with every second. Sparks drift across the field like falling stars. The cowboy whispers again, soft, certain, "Stay with me. You're safe." The baby hums once more, low and steady, leaning against his chest. The mother's eyes meet his, and they share a brief, understanding glance. The sheriff curses again, mutters threats, and finally, with a growl, steps back into the shadows, his departure marked only by the hiss of the fire and the shifting wind. Smoke rolls over the yard, the well nearby casting long, dark shadows. The baby, small and alive, hums, curling closer into the cowboy's chest, warmth and weight grounding him. The mother stands beside him, pale but unyielding, facing the fading threat. Flames light the yard, crackling over old wood, twisted shadows, iron gate glinting. Boone's words echo once more into the night air. "You think she came back for love? She came back for blood." And in the quiet that follows, only the baby's low, steady hum threads through the firelight, tying them together, alive, protected, unbroken. Ash falls like gray snow, drifting over scorched grass and smoldering wood. The barn is half collapsed, smoke curling into the cold night, thick enough to sting the eyes. The cowboy holds the baby close, rocking her gently in the quiet after the chaos. She hums low, almost a whisper, tiny fingers brushing his chest. The mother steps forward, face pale, hair damp from the smoke, eyes fixed on the ruins. "He opposed Boone," she says quietly. "My husband. He tried to stop the land seizure." The cowboy glances at her, jaw tight, hand steady on the baby. "Then what happened?" "He didn't make it," she admits. Her voice is brittle, trembling, and sharp all at once. "It was staged. Boone labeled me insane. Took my daughter." Boone's voice carries over the smoke from the far road. "You signed the papers," he calls, accusing, distant but cutting through the night. "I was drugged," the mother replies, voice steady now, full of something like defiance. Boone laughs, short, humorless. "No one will believe you." The cowboy steps between them, eyes narrowing, holding the baby close. "I do," he says. Boone freezes, the sound carrying over the ashes and smoke. The cowboy shifts slightly, revealing the letters he kept from his own past, fragile evidence of betrayal and threats from when his wife died, when the land was taken from him under force. Trauma parallels hang heavy in the air, old grief folding into new. Eleanor emerges from the shadows, carrying small lanterns, followed by a few townsfolk drawn by the smoke and commotion. Whispers spread among them, cautious, fearful. Boone raises his gun slowly, handshaking slightly. Silence presses down, thick and suffocating. The baby laughs suddenly, high and sharp, shattering tension in a way no one expects. Boone flinches, lowering his weapon slightly, eyes wide. The cowboy's grip on the baby tightens, steady, grounding them both. He hums a low note, a mirror to the child's laugh, bridging fear and courage. Eleanor steps closer, voice quiet but firm. "It doesn't have to end like this," she says. Boone curses under his breath, muttering about control, power, and reputation. The baby hums again, softly, almost like a plea. The mother kneels slightly, brushing smoke from her daughter's hair. Her face is calm, determined. "You can't silence her," she says, looking at Boone. "She's alive. She's mine." The sheriff's shoulders stiffen, his authority fraying in the cool night air filled with ash and the smell of burned wood. The cowboy shifts, turning to face him, stance low and steady. "You won't touch her," he says. Boone hesitates, gaze flicking between the baby, the mother, the cowboy, and the small crowd of townsfolk now leaning out of shadow. The baby hums again, trembling but insistent, threading tension into something fragile yet undeniable. Boone's gun lowers further. The night holds its breath. Sparks drift from the smoldering barn, hitting the dry grass with soft pops. Shadows stretch long, twisted over the yard, dancing against the iron gate and the well. The mother touches the baby's small hand. "Stay close," she whispers. The child leans into her chest for a heartbeat, then back to the cowboy, caught between two guardians, both strong, both dangerous in their own way. Boone curses again, mutters threats about law and consequences, but the weight of collective witness presses against him. Eleanor steps forward, lantern held high, eyes scanning the sheriff and the gathering crowd. "This is enough," she says, voice cutting across smoke and ash. Boone's deputies glance at each other, unsure, tension taut. The cowboy hums softly, the baby responding, their shared rhythm cutting through fear. The mother's gaze never wavers. "It's over," she says simply. Sparks continue to float across the yard like falling stars, the remnants of destruction and fury settling slowly. Boone backs away, muttering, defeated for now, gun still in hand but authority fractured. The night grows quieter. The barn smolders, sending smoke into the dark sky. The baby hums low, curling against the cowboy's chest. Eleanor watches, eyes sharp, as the mother kneels beside them, hands brushing soot and hair. Words pass quietly, only gestures and hums, a fragile communication threading through the devastation. Ash drifts down, coating their clothes, their hair, the ground, softening the harshness of the fire's aftermath. The cowboy rocks the baby slowly, voice low, almost a whisper, repeating her name. She responds with small hums and quiet movements, alive, safe for this moment. The mother stands, brushing ash from her sleeves, eyes scanning the night for any lingering threat. Boone's retreating figure disappears into the shadows, leaving only smoke, silence, and the distant whistle of the wind across the fields. The baby laughs suddenly, high and clear, a piercing, joyous sound that cuts through the remnants of fire and smoke. The cowboy exhales, relief and tension coiled together. The mother's hand rests lightly on the baby's back. Eleanor steps forward, nodding once. The night is heavy with ash, smoke, and the weight of secrets revealed. Sparks drift over the yard, carrying fragments of fire into the darkness. Shadows settle over the well, the iron gate, and the scorched barn. The cowboy hums low, soft, steady. The baby hums with him, tiny voice threading hope into night. The mother steps closer, brushing smoke from her daughter's hair, eyes holding something fierce yet tender. The crowd of townsfolk watches from the edge of the yard, unsure, tense, yet drawn by the quiet authority of those who stand together. Boone's shadow fades from the field, leaving the yard and its fragile inhabitants to catch their breath, to listen to the hum, the quiet, the small heartbeat of life surviving destruction. The baby curls in the cowboy's arms, humming low, and the mother rests a hand on his shoulder. Eleanor stands back, lantern steady, eyes scanning the yard, the night, the remnants of chaos. Ash drifts from the sky like snow, covering everything, quieting the world. The baby's hum threads through the darkness, weaving them together, alive, unbroken. The cowboy rocks her gently, whispering softly, repeating words he almost dares to believe himself, "You ain't alone." The baby's smile vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. She sat by the well, small fists gripping the stone edge, crying sharp, high, and endless. The cowboy moved closer, careful, slow, hands ready, breath shallow. Then he saw her. A woman standing beyond the fence, thin and pale, shoulders tight, eyes fixed on the baby. She didn't step forward, didn't flinch. "You going to shoot me?" she asked. He narrowed his eyes, hand resting near his holster. "Depends." "On what?" "If you're the ghost," he said. Silence hung, thick and tense. The baby's crying slowed, eyes flicking between the two adults. "I'm her mother," the woman said. His brow furrowed. The words felt false, yet urgent. "Why leave her?" he asked, voice low. "I didn't," she replied immediately. "Then who did?" "Ask your sheriff," she said, and the wind carried the edge of fear with it. He studied her, noticing the scars along her wrists, thin rope marks, faint but real. Memory sparked unbidden, his wife's hands, bruised, trembling in the night before she died. The baby's small hands twitched, reaching toward him as if sensing the tension. Boone took her, the woman said, eyes darkening. Accused me of madness. Took my daughter. He took a step back, jaw tight. Prove it, he said, though the words sounded hollow. She hums when she's scared, the mother said. The baby stopped crying for a moment, then a faint, trembling hum came from her throat. The cowboy's hand went to the stone edge of the well. He didn't trust the woman yet, not fully. She had returned too late, and yet she was here. The night seemed to hold its breath. A truck engine hummed in the distance. Headlights cut through the shadows, rolling slowly toward them. Boone. His timing precise. The woman straightened, pale but steady, eyes locked on the approaching headlights. Stay behind me, the cowboy said softly to her, gripping the baby closer. She nodded. Boone's truck slowed at the edge of the yard. The headlights carved long, jagged shadows across the field. The sheriff stepped out first, boots crunching in the gravel. That woman's unstable, he called, voice sharp. She looks tired, the cowboy shot back, voice flat. Boone's eyes flicked to the baby. You sure this is yours? He asked the woman. She's mine, she said. Her voice trembled but held iron beneath it. Boone's gaze cut to the cowboy. You've raised her, he said slowly, almost accusing. You've raised questions. The wind picked up, rattling the well cover, making the shadows dance. The baby looked up at him, humming low again. He whispered to her, stay calm. Stay. Boone clenched his fists. I can take her back, he said. No, the mother said, stepping slightly forward. You can't. She's mine. You forfeited that right, Boone snapped. The cowboy tensed, jaw tight, hand steady on the baby's small frame. Silence stretched over the yard, punctuated by the low hum from the child. The mother's eyes met the cowboy's. I came back for her, she said simply. He studied her. The hum continued, low and certain. He let the baby shift slightly in his arms. Not yet, he said. Boone's truck door slammed. You think she came back for love? She came back for blood, Boone muttered under his breath, stepping closer. The shadows around the well lengthened as the night wind picked up, brushing over the tall grass and broken fence posts. The baby's eyes widened at the sudden tension. The cowboy held her firmly, scanning Boone's stance, reading the threat. The woman stayed still, a thin line of determination across her face. The hum from the child grew slightly louder, more insistent, like a beacon in the dark. Boone's deputies flanked him, unsure, shifting weight from one boot to the other. The mother glanced toward them, voice steady. She's not yours to take. Boone scowled. The moonlight glinted off the badge on his chest, cold, sharp, a symbol of authority in a land ruled by fear. The baby's hum echoed against the stone of the well, soft but haunting. The wind carried Boone's anger across the field. The cowboy held the baby tighter, whispering softly into her ear. The hum stopped for a heartbeat. The woman's hand twitched slightly, reaching toward the child. The baby responded, tiny fingers brushing the mother's hand. Boone's truck idled, engine low and threatening. Shadows twisted, the night pressing close. The cowboy's eyes flicked to the mother. Are you ready for what comes next? He asked quietly. She nodded, pale face set, breath steady. The baby reached out again, humming softly, a low thread of sound that seemed to tether them all together. Boone's headlights painted long beams across the field, highlighting the tension. The wind rattled the fence. The well stones held the darkness in place, a silent witness to everything. The cowboy adjusted his hold, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing into his chest. Outside, Boone's truck rolled forward slowly, engine growling. He could see the sheriff's fingers twitching near the grip of his revolver. You stay, the cowboy muttered. The baby's hum grew, trembling but clear. The woman stepped closer, careful not to startle her child. Boone's truck stopped at the edge of the yard, engine idling like a beast. The night waited. No one spoke. Only the hum of the child, low and sure, threading between fear and defiance, carrying them all forward. Dust settles over the yard like gray ash, drifting slowly over the scorched grass and blackened barn timbers. The night smells of smoke and dirt, of old secrets unearthed. The mother stands near the well, hands gripping the stone edge, eyes fixed on the dark water below. "There's something down there," she says quietly, voice shaking only slightly. The cowboy kneels beside her, holding the baby close to his chest. He nods slowly, signaling Eleanor and the few townsfolk lingering at the edge of the yard. They lower a lantern into the well, its light bouncing off damp stones and twisting shadows. The rope creaks under the weight, pulling something heavy from the darkness. Bones appear first, a skeletal hand, dry and bleached, clinging to remnants of cloth. A man's skeleton emerges, tangled in old ropes and earth, silent witness to the past. The mother swallows hard, a catch in her throat. "It's him," she whispers. The cowboy studies the bones carefully, recognition in his eyes. "They buried him quiet," he says, voice low, turning to look toward the town in the distance. Boone's corruption is now literal, undeniable, carved into the dirt and stone, lying beneath the well. Eleanor leans closer, lips tight, eyes wide. "You pull that up, you start a war," she warns. "We can't fight him," someone mutters from the shadows. "We already are," the mother replies, firm. "They'll turn on us." "Let them," the cowboy says, shifting slightly, eyes scanning the surrounding darkness. The skeleton is fully raised now, laid out on the ground. The rope marks match the ones on the mother's wrists, proof of her torment, of her husband's murder. Boone arrives quietly at the edge of the field with more men, boots stirring dust into the fading firelight. The yard tenses. Weapons shift slightly, murmurs run through the crowd. The cowboy shifts the baby in his arms, small fingers curling around his thumb. The mother kneels beside the bones, brushing dust from the remnants of her husband's clothing. She traces faint rope marks in the dirt with trembling fingers. "This is what they tried to hide," she says. Boone steps forward, trying to mask concern with authority. "You can't prove anything." "We just did," the cowboy says, voice steady, cutting through the tension like a knife. Rapid exchanges fly. "We can't fight him." "We already are." "They'll turn on us." "Let them." The baby hums softly in his arms, a tiny thread of innocence weaving through the charged air. Eleanor nods, eyes sharp, scanning faces, gauging threats. Boone glances at the growing townsfolk, murmurs spreading, eyes narrowing. His authority, once absolute, starts to crack under collective witness. The mother kneels fully now, brushing ash and dust from her husband's bones. "He tried to take everything," she says. "We're just taking back the truth." Boone mutters curses under his breath, stepping closer, but the weight of evidence and witness presses him back. The cowboy shifts, steady, grounded, moving to shield the baby while Eleanor gestures for the crowd to stay calm but vigilant. Shadows stretch over the yard as the lanterns flicker. The well, once a hole of darkness and suspicion, now holds truth. The skeleton rests on the scorched ground, a witness carved in silence. The townsfolk gather slowly, faces strained with disbelief and fear, divided between loyalty, terror, and the undeniable evidence before them. Boone's men hesitate, uncertain, as the weight of the truth presses upon them. "You pull that up," Eleanor repeats, "you start a war." The cowboy looks at her, voice low, "Then let it be a war of truth, not fear." The mother crouches near the bones, brushing the last traces of dust from her husband's remains, small tears sliding down her cheeks, face hard with grief and resolve. The baby hums softly, a counterpoint to sorrow, threading life into memory, tying them all to the moment. Boone swears again, muttering threats, but he falters, glances cast toward the crowd and the newly revealed evidence beneath the well. The shadows of the yard bend strangely, stretched over iron gate, scorched timbers, the well itself, twisting the familiar into uncanny forms. The mother stands, brushing dirt from her hands. "We won't let this go," she says. The cowboy shifts, careful, vigilant, still holding the baby. The townsfolk murmur among themselves, hesitant, uncertain, but slowly they gather closer, drawn by fear, curiosity, and the need to witness. Boone steps back, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. His control is slipping. The night air carries faint whistles of wind, drifting dust, and distant movement from the town. Lanterns flicker, casting the yard in orange-gold light, shadows shifting across faces, weapons, and scorched earth. The mother places her hand over the baby's small one. "Stay with us," she whispers. The cowboy nods, chin tight, gaze steady, holding the baby firm. Boone curses, mutters warnings, and finally steps back, feet crunching against dry earth, eyes darting to the crowd and then to the well. The baby hums softly again, threading life into the tense, haunted yard. The cowboy whispers once more, "You ain't alone." And in the quiet that follows, only the hum, the shifting shadows, and the weight of truth beneath the well mark the night, heavy with dust, ash, and the fragile, unbroken thread of justice emerging in silence. Boone rides into the yard, dust rising in clouds around his horse, boots digging into dry earth. "This ends tonight," he calls, voice sharp, ringing over the scattered crowd. The cowboy steps forward, baby pressed to his chest, dark eyes fixed on the sheriff. You shoot her too," he says, voice low, steady, unflinching. Silence stretches across the field, the hum of the baby faint but present, threading through the tension. The mother steps beside him, shoulders squared, pale face resolute. She turns toward the townsfolk, voice carrying over the night air. "How many of you signed papers you didn't understand?" Hands rise slowly, hesitantly, revealing fear, doubt, compliance forced by authority. Boone's gaze flicks between the raised hands and the baby, a flash of panic under the cold mask of control. "You accuse me," he spits. The cowboy tilts his head, holding the child firm. "Then why'd she cry every time you touched her?" Murmurs ripple through the crowd, hesitant and low at first, then louder, collective disbelief growing into silent power. Boone's eyes narrow, shoulders tensing. He steps toward the cowboy, hand twitching near the gun, but the crowd shifts as one, leaning forward, watching. Eleanor shouts from the edge of the yard, lantern held high. "You answer to us." Boone freezes, the weight of eyes, judgment, and truth pressing down. He fires a warning shot, high into the air, sparks scattering across the dry grass. The sound cracks tension, the night flinches. The baby squeals sharply, fingers curling around the cowboy's shirt. The cowboy hums low, steady, a counterpoint to the chaos, moving slightly, chest pressing the child close, eyes unwavering. The mother leans forward, voice cutting through smoke and dust. "She's alive. She's ours. Not yours to take." Boone's jaw tightens, the badge on his chest glinting coldly in the flickering lantern light, a symbol of authority losing power. He steps closer, hand twitching, eyes darting toward the growing crowd, measuring fear, loyalty, hesitation. The townsfolk shift, whispering, uncertain but emboldened by collective witness. The cowboy shifts slightly, rocking the baby, hum threading through the night, holding tension and life together. Boone draws a deep breath, trying to reclaim control, but hesitation creeps in. The mother stands taller, chest forward, eyes glinting in firelight and shadow. "You can't silence truth," she says. The baby hums again, small voice threading hope into fear. Boone's deputies glance at each other, uncertain, their stance wobbling under collective judgment. The cowboy holds the baby higher, hum steady, a lifeline threading through shadow, smoke, and threat. Boone fires another shot, this one closer, low and threatening, the sound cracking over the field. The crowd flinches, but no one steps back. Eleanor calls again, voice sharp, piercing, "You answer to us." The sheriff's authority phrase under eyes, whispers, hums, and the unwavering stance of the mother and cowboy. The baby reaches up instinctively, tiny fingers brushing toward the mother. Boone curses, stepping back, unsure, eyes darting between child, cowboy, mother, and witnesses. Shadows stretch long across the scorched earth, fence, and well. The cowboy shifts, stance low and protective, rocking the baby gently, hum threading calm over chaos. The mother kneels briefly, brushing dust from her daughter's hair, voice firm. "We won't be silenced. You can't touch her." Boone snarls, hand twitching, chest tight. He lunges, only for the cowboy to step aside, movement precise, quick, disarming him in a motion almost invisible. The crowd gasps, whispers rising into murmurs of awe and fear. Boone falls to his knees, unbalanced, authority stripped by evidence, collective witness, and quiet defiance. The baby giggles softly, small hands reaching toward the mother. The mother kneels, gathering the child to her chest. The cowboy steps back, watching, eyes scanning every shadow, every lingering deputy. Eleanor exhales slowly, watching the shifting power, the moment of reckoning settling over the yard. The sheriff's gun lies on the ground, abandoned in confusion and humiliation. The badge glints in the dirt, symbol now of failure, corruption exposed. The townsfolk murmur, hesitant but emboldened, some stepping closer, others frozen in shock. The cowboy rocks the baby gently, hum threading steady, calming. The mother rests her hands over the child, holding her close, voice quiet, firm. "It's over," she whispers. The night holds its breath, smoke from the burned barn drifting across the field, shadows bending over fence and yard, lantern light flickering over faces. Boone remains on his knees, chest heaving, eyes darting, uncertain, defeated. The baby reaches toward her mother, small fingers brushing her cheek. Eleanor nods once, steady, satisfied. The cowboy shifts slightly, rocking the baby, voice low, steady, "You ain't alone." The hum threads between them, between shadow and firelight, between fear and courage, carrying the yard into a fragile, trembling peace. The sheriff will retreat. The witnesses will remember. The child will live. The power has shifted. The mother holds the baby in her arms for the first time without hesitation. Tiny fingers curl around her neck, clinging, trusting, alive. Her breath trembles, uneven, caught somewhere between relief and disbelief. "Why'd you keep her?" she asks the cowboy, voice low, unsure, carrying a weight that no words could lighten. "Because someone left her," he replies, short, blunt, eyes never leaving the child's small face. The baby shifts against his chest, a soft hum escaping, bridging the gap between fear and comfort. "And now," she asks again, voice steadier. "Now someone's here," he says, voice firm. The mother's gaze moves outward, across the yard where townsfolk linger, some curious, some wary, all silent witnesses to what has passed and what remains. She exhales slowly, trembling but determined. "I don't want revenge," she says, voice strong now, carrying over dust, ash, and shadows. "I want my child." Boone is arrested quietly by his own deputy, hands cuffed, head lowered. The badge is stripped from his chest, glinting briefly in the lantern light before being placed into the well as a symbol, cold and final. The cowboy steps back slightly, allowing the mother to adjust her hold on the baby, feeling the child's warmth and weight settle across her arms. She looks down at the baby, small face turned up toward hers, and breathes out a laugh, soft and genuine. The townsfolk murmur quietly, eyes flicking between the mother, the child, and the now subdued sheriff. Eleanor stands a short distance away, hands clasped, watching, nodding, the fire of the barn long extinguished but its light still echoing in memory. The mother looks up at the cowboy, eyes searching. "Will you let her go?" she asks, voice calm but steady, carrying trust and risk in equal measure. He hesitates, glance lingering on the child, the mother, the yard that has seen so much, the ghosts that cling like dust to old wood. "Will you stay?" he replies finally, voice low, asking more than a question. She swallows, eyes steady, voice quiet. "I don't have land. I don't have money. I don't have safety." The cowboy tilts his head slightly, expression calm, measured. "You got room," he says. She exhales, long, and steps carefully across the iron ranch gate, baby held close, moving from one life to another, bridging grief, fear, and hope. The yard stretches silent around them, ash and smoke mingling with the faint hum of life and survival. Eleanor watches from the edge of the road, nodding once, quiet approval in her expression. The baby hums softly against her mother's chest, small hands exploring warmth and security. The cowboy steps back, shoulders relaxing slightly, watching them. The gate remains open, a symbol of passage, trust, and acceptance. Boone's figure is small in the distance, already led away, the threat dissolved, the past held in the well, hidden but acknowledged. The mother glances once at the cowboy, a fleeting smile, a silent gratitude passing between them. The baby giggles, tiny and bright, reaching for the gate latch as if testing the world, testing freedom, testing safety. Dust settles over the yard, soft and light, carrying the smell of ash, earth, and smoke, mingling with warmth and the faint scent of goat milk and wood. The mother tightens her hold on the baby, rocking gently, humming faintly, a mirror to the hum the child has carried through fear and fire. The cowboy exhales, long and steady, shifting weight, watching, feeling the tension of years release slightly. Eleanor steps forward, lantern in hand, shadows stretching across the scorched ground, illuminating faces, fences, and the iron gate. The baby's small hum grows, threading through the quiet night, a soft, fragile melody of survival, trust, and life unbroken. The mother looks down at her child, eyes bright with resolve. "We're together now," she whispers. The cowboy nods, small, almost imperceptible, acknowledgement passing in silence. The townsfolk murmur softly, some stepping closer, some lingering back, a collective witness to justice, mercy, and new beginnings. The wind drifts across the yard, carrying whispers of smoke, dust, and the night, threading through the tall grass, the burned barn, and the iron gate. The baby laughs again, high and clear, small fingers brushing at her mother's face, exploring, discovering, alive. The mother smiles, full and steady now, eyes glinting with warmth and determination. The cowboy exhales again, hums low, small reassurance threading through the night. Ash and smoke swirl in the faint light of lanterns, settling over the yard and its occupants like a soft cloak, holding memory, justice, and fragile peace. The mother rocks her baby gently, voice soft, humming faintly, small eyes meeting the child's in a mirror of trust and safety. The cowboy steps back, shoulders loosening, gaze drifting toward the iron gate, past the scorched barn, across the yard that has carried so much grief and fire. Eleanor nods once more, quietly approving, watching the yard, the mother, the child, and the cowboy, shadows stretching long and still. The mother hums again softly, baby responding in kind, a thread of sound carrying across the field, across the night, across fear, ashes, and smoke. The past is held in the well, justice rests in the arrested sheriff, and life continues in small, fragile ways. The cowboy watches the mother and child, hum still threading softly between them, holding them, connecting them, protecting them. The baby giggles again, bright and alive, tiny fingers brushing at her mother's collar, testing, exploring, safe. The mother exhales, humming softly, voice steady now. "We're together," she says. The cowboy hums low, echoing her tone. Shadows settle, dust drifts, air thick with ash, smoke, and promise. The yard is quiet, except for the hum, the soft giggle, and the subtle settling of life after fire and grief. The gate closes softly, not with a clang, but a gentle sigh of metal on iron. The night is quiet, no dramatic music, no voices except the faint hum of the baby in her mother's arms. She sets the child down carefully on the grass inside the yard, small hands brushing dirt from her tiny legs. "You don't talk much," she says quietly, glancing up at the cowboy. "Didn't have reason," he replies, voice low, measured. She steps closer, baby reaching for her mother instinctively, trusting, alive. "And now?" she asks, eyes curious, searching. "I might," he admits, small smile tugging at the corner of his lips. The mother hums softly, a lullaby just audible in the night. The baby hums back, tiny voice threading warmth into the yard, echoing softly against the iron gate and stone of the well. The cowboy glances toward the sealed well, now covered, past contained, secrets held beneath stone and dirt. Eleanor watches from the road, shadowed by lantern light, nodding once in quiet approval. The cowboy's hand moves to the gate latch. He touches it, thumb brushing over cold metal, but does not lock it. He steps back, shoulders easing, eyes steady, watching the mother and child begin their life together. The night holds a calm, unbroken, quiet. Dust settles over the yard, smoke from old fires dissipating, leaving only the smell of earth and faint ash. The baby laughs, a bright, clear sound, high and small, echoing through the quiet yard, filling space with life. The mother bends to scoop her up, humming low, eyes soft and steady, and the cowboy watches, hum echoing quietly from his lips. The iron gate sways gently in the breeze, open to the night, open to trust, open to those who come and those who stay. Final line, no one gets left at this gate again. The baby laughs again, small, alive, and the night settles around them, whole, unbroken, quiet.